Farouk here with genConnect and Don Bacigalupi. Don, I want to start out by talking about education and the arts. How are we working to really educate the next generation of young people and potential art aficionados?
I think we're working in so many ways, particularly in the museum world. We're trying to kind of create access points for any individual, no matter what age they are, particularly students, but all throughout life. So we work with lifelong learners from every walk of life. And we're doing it by creating programs, by creating exhibitions, by creating tours and interactive experiences. Some of them are technology based, where any person, whatever their background is, can find something of relevance in the works of art and take that to the next level. If they have interest in discovering something about the culture from which a work of art comes, or the ideas that are engendered in the work of art, or the issues that the artist is interested in communicating about, there's some way in for them to develop a deeper relationship.
So for all the parents who are watching right now, for many young kids, there is some stigma attached to museums, right? Unfortunately. How can those parents get around that stigma and really introduce their children to the arts in a way where they may actually be able to relate to the arts like you've suggested?
I think the stigma, as you described, is changing, though. I think more and more museums are really awakened to the idea that we can create kind of safe spaces for children, particularly in families with children, to come and have a really enjoyable, engaging experience so that they go away and the kids are going to be the ones driving the parents back. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
So we have exhibitions and we have spaces in the museum where when kids come once, if the parents can get them over that first hurdle, and I agree with you that there might be a kind of psychological hurdle, once they've had the experience of being engaged, getting the hands-on experience of making, creating, communicating their own ideas through art making, or experiencing it through some other artist's work, they then will drag their parents back and say, I want to do that again. Or they'll do it at home and they'll find ways to engage in a different space.
You really have your finger on the pulse of the art world. What is a genre that's been underappreciated that is now starting to get attention?
There are so many. I mean, we're living in this postmodern world of art where any approach is permissible. There was a time in the 19th and early 20th century when there was a dominant mode, and if you weren't working in that style or that mode, you weren't even seen. You weren't recognized, and that's changed. And there are so many different approaches that I think the era that we're living in now, it's all about kind of the confluence and the mixing and the kind of portfolio of these different approaches that really make sense. I don't think that there is any sector that is going unnoticed, but I think there are always new artists coming up that are emerging. I think one of the things that we've been really invested in, being a museum in the middle of the country, is finding artists where they live and work and not relying on the structures of the East Coast of New York or Los Angeles, but really understanding that artists work in all kinds of places. They work in Colorado, they work in Arkansas, they work in big towns, small towns, rural areas. And for us, it's about identifying the best talent wherever it lives and bringing that to the national attention or international attention so that we're not missing anyone. I think about Vincent van Gogh, who died penniless and unknown, and it wasn't until the next couple of generations where his genius was really understood and appreciated. I don't want that to happen. I want to make sure that our contemporary artists who have something to teach us about contemporary life and the world that we live in can be heard and can be seen today by all of us.
Thanks so much, Don.
You're very welcome.
And for more with Don Bacigalupi, be sure to check out genConnect.